999
Hello.
show. We're doing a Saturday paint off, and I have with me my very special guest of Day by Day, Christine, and she is an artist.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on.
And yeah, and so we are going to do a paint off. I'm going to flip the camera around, and then you'll be able to see the reference photo and everything. We're going to be working in watercolor today. Oh, I don't want you to see my clutter, so I better put this around like that. Okay, now here we go. No, there we go. That, and at this point in time, everything is fluid. Okay, stay.
Got it.
Stay. Stay. Okay, so there's the reference photo. You can see it. It's kind of there, and it's in grayscale, so we will be interpreting the colors as we see fit. So right now, I'll just kind of keep the bottom part of it. It's a lot of big sky, and I will
Mm-hmm.
be touching it in order to keep it on. All right. And so we're going to get started here doing watercolor. And if you're just looking in, my guest here is Christine Day by Day Christine, and I'm 999 Show, and
Okay.
and we are going to get started.
Okay. Happy to be here. And what are you gonna start with? The sun or the sky?
Well, I'm going to start with the sky, but I'm going to kind of pencil in where the skyline is. That's what I'm going to start with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's roughly about 1/3 of the way up. And so I got this graphite pencil. I like these things. Though I do like the wood ones better because they sharpen up better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or I could use a colored pencil, which I think I might do that instead because um and this is a Fiber Castle watercolor pencil. So I'm gonna just kind of rough sketch where this is. It's not an exact thing. So this is a giant sky, and then we have a bit of water, and there is a few reflections in here. I may or may not add that in there. It all just depends.
Yeah.
Water.
I'm gonna sketch in a little line too. Yeah.
Okay, there's the water line, and we're going to put the water line in. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. Then we got some of this. I may skip other things in here. All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to get started here.
Sounds good.
And I am using a Van Gogh pocket box. These are student grade paints.
I'm using a mixture of Danielle Smith and Mungio
Okay,
professional paints.
professional paints.
Mungio was my first pan paint set that I got that I really fell in love with. And it was
Mhm.
pretty affordable back in the day. It came with like 48 pans for like around $36, I think, and it's pretty good paint. And it has a lot of single pigment colors, which I like because
Mhm.
then you don't get mud, you know?
Yeah.
Well, if you do mix, it makes for a cleaner mix when you have single pigments as to opposed to paint that's made of multiple pigments, because then you have run into a chance of having red in your yellow, or you know what I'm saying, and then it becomes
Yeah.
like a brown.
Well, I actually have that issue going on with my paint set. I do have all of the colors mixed in on the tops of everything, and but this is my
That's okay.
very first venture into water. Uh, Prior to like what this January, I never really painted watercolor.
Oh
And
yeah, I know. I've seen you do a lot of acrylic, so
yeah,
that's good that you're willing to go out of your comfort zone. I'm too scared to do the acrylic yet.
well, a lot of it, Christine, is that when I started live streaming art and stuff like that, you have to have a continual stream of content coming out, and so it forces you to expand your style and expand what you're doing because you can't just.
Mhm.
I suppose you could just because it gets down into the hi, welcome George, and welcome Fatima. It gets down into the realm of like, okay, if you are wedded your entire content to the game Minecraft, which a lot of people have,
Mhm.
and that's the kind of the level it gets to be when you just do one medium or one thing all the time, is that
Mhm.
it's just like you're like just like you're doing you're a video game streamer or something like that.
Yeah. No, it's very good to challenge yourself. Like I like to draw portraits, faces a lot, and that's because I'm not good at it. And it's something that forces me to be uncomfortable and go out of my comfort zone.
Comfort zone. Yeah.
Mhm. And I like
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's good.
Challenges are always good.
Yeah. I actually don't. I can't actually don't draw. I failed the drawing sections in every art class I've ever taken, and but I've
Um,
had to force myself when I started doing watercolor. I kind of forced myself to do simple sketches because it seems to be that that's kind of how people painted watercolor, was that they put in a sketch of some kind and then they just sort of colored in everything. But maybe that was more how the basic watercoloring works.
yeah, I don't sketch too much. Especially if I'm just like, I don't know. I try to let the paint do the work
Hmm.
and just kind of let it express it. So I'm more into expressionism and what does it feel like the sunset feels to me like, exciting. There's all these pinks, these purples, these blues happening, and I try to capture that in my art. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes that's more important than being so realistic, because you can take a picture and be realistic.
Exactly. Well, I guess when I say I'm doing a sketch, there's nothing that comes out that's really realistic. But however, I have painted a couple birds that people could look at and say, "Oh yeah, that's that bird," and so I guess that's realistic. But I did
Yeah.
start with an overall kind of a outline kind of a thing going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I just want to make a quick suggestion. If you're doing like any kind of yellow in your sky, you want to make sure that you add some sort of pink in between the blue, because obviously the blue will mix with the yellow and it'll make green, so you don't want that. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm using I'm only using three colors or so in this painting. a yellow, quin, like a rose color, and then a blue. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I actually have used just two different shades of blue so far. I've used the Prussian blue and the ultramarine, and
Okay.
I do have a Carillion blue, but I rarely have really
That's what
liked
I'm gonna use.
yeah I rarely have liked how it expresses itself because it looks really too blue. And but I'm probably gonna come in and with it and do some red colors to it. And I like this one the best, this Madden Lake red or the permanent red. And I like the quinacridone rose is the one I like the least. I
Oh,
like how
really?
I like how it looks in the pan, but I don't necessarily like how it looks. Um,
Is it PV? Is it? Do you know the pigment number? Does it say PV19 or is it a PR? Do you know?
well, I wrote the pigment numbers down on here, and my the ones that I have on here is I have a 108 Chinese white, a 254 permanent yellow, a 269 Azo yellow, a but these are I don't know if those are if they're universal
No,
numbers.
that's not the pigment number. I meant like, is it like PV19? Like, do you know the pigment
I don't
information?
I don't know
No.
that.
Oh,
Well, unless
because
it's on the
different brands will
oh
have different, sometimes different pigment numbers.
wait it does on the back side of the card it does. So it is the the red that I don't particularly the the quinacridone red is PV19,
Yep, that's what I'm using, PV19.
and the Prussian blue that I was using was PV27.
Okay. Mhm. Yep, that's
Mhm.
Prussian blue.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I learned something new every day, and I just didn't bother looking at those pigment numbers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Those are good to know.
Mhm. Well, I'm thinking like that. I am, though the clouds are here are running in a different direction because I tend to paint on a slant. I don't know why I do that, but I guess I'm
No,
kind of
that is the way you're supposed to do it. I like to use a slant as well. Sometimes I like to work flat. Sometimes I like to work slanted. The sky, yeah, I like to do
yeah the
slanted.
slanted sky. Yeah, because I like the energy of the slanted sky for some
Oh
reason.
yeah, I'm gonna actually spray so I get some cool effects. I have these little spray bottles that I save that I fill with water, and you can just put like, like I'm gonna use the cerulean blue, put some of that down.
Yeah, when I was doing one of these with Clint, he was he had water on. He was painting the two brush method with water on one brush and then the paint on the other. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually, and that was the first time I'd seen that. I actually haven't done that for a while, so I suppose I should go and take one of those little brushes I have and try that again.
Yeah, do it up. Try it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna spray this now. Get it flowing.
So now we are coming in. The photo is just there to lock the shapes in, and at this point of time, everything is going off into its own direction. Well, hello, Julianne, and welcome, Jeff.
And also, what I like to do is always have a paper towel so that I can make marks like that too.
Oh yeah. Well, my paper towel's right behind me. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
limited on space because I have these other projects that are in process, like getting making um, crossword crossword oracles, but I have the cards all made, and this is for Selena and Elizabeth,
Oh,
and
that's nice.
but I've been in the process of making these things for like 2 months, and everything goes slow. It seems like when you're doing, especially now that I'm doing
Mhm.
creation for 2 channels, so everything is gets really slowed. Plus, I take care of my mother, and
Yeah.
so and I always like try to take 1 day off of content creation a week. It's kind of hard because
That's good.
there's an addicting quality to how this works. Because now because I just got live privileges on my other channel, and so I'm going to do a
Mhm.
test live tonight after everybody on the East Coast is long asleep, which is fine. I don't mind if nobody watches. That's fine. Of course, Jeff will
I'll
do it.
try.
Well, I'm scheduled at midnight my time, and
Oh goodness.
well, you see, Christine, this I didn't actually get to sleep until the sun came up today, and I
Oh
was
no.
well. What the problem is Christine, for the all intents and purposes, I'm a retired bartender who's
Mhm.
been on a night schedule for a long time, and the whole idea of getting just so the last time I had a job in which I got up at like um 5 o'clock in the morning to get to was like 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And so having been right now I'm just sort of full time with it, looking after mother, but it's I take my alone time after she goes to bed.
Mhm.
Otherwise I wouldn't.
That's important to
Yeah,
have some
yeah,
self time.
yes, exactly. And so anyway,
Mhm.
but my with the in the absence of a schedule, I am I end up going to sleep around 2 o'clock in the morning, between 2 and 4, and that's what
Mhm.
happened. It's just like it's been that way since I was a kid, and
Mhm.
but anyway, not that that really matters.
No, it does. It's interesting to hear about different. I didn't know you had all that going on. That's a
Hmm.
lot. And you put out art videos. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I have a lot of things that are in process, and I do sell a little bit of my art too. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm liking
I
this.
take care of my daughter mostly. She has some feeding issues. She can't eat by mouth. She has
Oh,
a
feeding tube.
feeding tube,
Hmm.
and hopefully she'll be going to have surgery for that soon to
Mm.
get. Well, she has something that she was born with that they figured out what it is, and now they think that they can fix her palate so that she'll be able to eat and drink properly, and that she won't need the tube anymore. So that would be awesome.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's taking care of depending on how the level of care that you are giving a person is makes it kind of really challenging. So like my mother is pretty ambulatory, though she has a
Hmm.
some pain right now, and so it's she requires a little bit more um, of me getting things for her, and
Hmm.
so yeah. Oh, somebody's like hitting the heart button a lot. Maybe someone else can like hit it more, and I can
Oh,
see the hearts just flowing up to the sky. Hmm.
that's nice.
Yeah.
I can't see the screen. I'm sorry if anyone said hello to me. I haven't
Well,
noted. I'm
I'm actually
sorry.
watching. I'm watching the screen right now, and there's a Chloe, Fatima, a Julianne Guthrie, and
Hi.
there's Tarot Asked Backwards. There's Fatima, and there's George.
Nice.
Yeah, those are
That's
all the
George is
people.
my partner, so
Well, that's your partner. Oh, okay.
yeah. So he is supporting me, I bet.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I started doing some of the hills, and then I'm gonna work on this reflection, which is later than everything on here. I'm gonna put down this
Wow,
really
you're looking really.
pale.
You got a lot of more softer edges going on there.
I'm gonna go in a little darker after, but yeah, I'm trying to do this. How's yours coming along? Oh, I like yours.
Well,
I love it.
mine is way more simplistic. More simplistic. I'm just coming in with
I think that
some
I
layers.
think yours is amazing.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to leave this white space in here because it looks pretty,
Mm-hmm.
and it also looks like it's a far away. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, I do like the white space. I think it adds to it. I think it definitely adds to it.
Water brush in the paint, and so that's the reason. That's the drawback about the two brush method is that
I
eventually
know.
everything ends up in the paint. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Come back up here to the top, and I'm gonna apply some more of this ultramarine blue into the darker areas on top. So that might not necessarily be what you see in nature, but I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah.
It's what we see
Well, yeah. Well, actually,
at this moment.
what you're looking at this moment is me multitasking this and not necessarily thinking about what it is that I am painting. And so I'm painting, for the most part, I'm painting stream of consciousness. And
Yeah, and that can be very difficult. People don't understand how difficult that can be. So I appreciate you talking so much so that I could focus on my painting because you helped me be able to focus a little bit. So let me talk a little bit for you so that you can focus on yours.
oh, I'm actually pretty focused. What I have trouble
Yeah,
doing.
yours looks amazing.
Oh, Alexandra Cosmos, welcome, and welcome for all your support. And Mr. Oakley Bean, welcome. So
Welcome.
he's in Tokyo right now. Oh,
Oh,
so
wow.
what are you doing in Tokyo? Are you working there, or are you just on vacation? He's probably Oh yeah, Mr. Oakley's been coming into my channel probably a good year now.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think he discovered me when he's on a tour. He discovered me when I was doing paper mache. I don't know if I'm gonna do paper mache this year because it's like it becomes like a storage issue of where do you if you're not selling your stuff, then what are you doing with your stuff? And so that's
Mhm.
why I tend to paint mostly on paper. And then like a buddy day before yesterday, he wired my this room that I'm in for Ethernet because I'm getting ready to have a he's rebuilding a desktop computer for me. And
Oh,
so
nice.
like in 2020 when I so it was in 2020 is pretty much the last time I worked in alcohol service.
Mhm.
Granted, I'm not technically old enough to retire, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna do. I don't think I'm ever gonna do that kind of work again. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that um well my goal has been anyway is to make a living as an artist.
Right.
And of course that's maybe everybody's goal. And whether that
Yeah.
happens or not, it's a different story. It probably won't, but you have to work towards that.
Mhm.
And it's kind of what I'm doing in with all of my endeavors. I'm working towards something, and not sure I like those clouds, but I think I'm going to apply a little bit more water in here and to sort of bloom the pigments out a bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to leave.
I like that.
So I just let the reference photo go dark, but it's
So
so your
this
youngest
part
son built a
here.
computer. Yeah, the computer is. I'm getting the computer will require a little bit of rebuild because I bought it used in 2020. And at that time, it was like the fastest computer. Actually, I bought two of them, two of the exact same model. And because I was like thinking, I did do some work from home,
Mhm.
and then and I used it for that. And so I bought two so I could have a backup in just case one went out on me. And
Yep.
and I still have two. Not the one that the other one is in my. I have an office space in my garage, and it's there, but it's like completely unusable because of that whole the changes in the Microsoft way they are dealing with their software and charging you nickeling and diming you for every little
Oh,
thing. And so
I
so I
know.
and so my childhood friend he's a retired software engineer, and he retired from that in order to become a full-time caregiver himself, but more of it was when he got married the second time.
Mhm.
He had a child with this person, and she worked as a doctor, and so he elected to be the full-time caregiver and um in that situation. And
Nice.
so he's working so he's been like all in on the open source free Linux software. But when you're a software engineer working past all of the problems that you could run into with Linux is a whole lot easier than when I see, because like you get the oh yeah, so he gets the parts and builds it. Yeah, so
Mhm.
there'll be some building up in this because I think it's going to be requiring an additional hard drive. But going on the open source software, and so my only instructions is that this is going to be a streaming computer, because the only thing function that this computer is going to do is either for some video editing, but I do most of my video editing on this Android phone I have.
Yeah, that's what I do most of my video editing on as well. I just upgraded to I believe it's a 512 gigabyte phone
Yeah.
because it's so much easier to be able to just edit on your phone, and your phone has like the best camera now.
Well,
It
it does
really does.
it does have the best camera, and but what I want to figure out, which I haven't quite figured out yet, but this will require some software. So if I get completely get rid of that monthly subscription to Microsoft, that frees up $16 a month out of my budget that and then I can take that and run it into some form of a streaming software, a third party streaming, but for the purposes of
To invest
going
in yourself.
the next step of multi streaming on more than one platform.
Right. Yeah, that's
So
it. That's a great idea.
like Twitch, because what um my
Mhm. Yep.
childhood friend's child who's in high school says, because he's kind of looked take my content and showed it around to these teenagers, and so, oh yeah, that you should stream on Twitch. This guy should stream on Twitch, and so
Mhm.
so I don't know if I'm that if I get to that, it'll probably be um in September when this channel goes into its fourth year, and
Mhm.
and so you do things incrementally when you're doing YouTube. It's like, all
Right.
right, kind of stuck in this one spot, and I'm gonna come out here with my Payne's Gray. Though I did watch a video on how to make Payne's Gray right from these other um, uh,
Payne's gray is such a beautiful color, though. It has like a blue. A lot of them have a blue undertone, and I don't know. I love having it. I mean, it's not a necessity. I got it. I don't have it as an actual watercolor paint. I have it as a Dr. P.H. Martin Hydrus watercolor set, and I love using it. But
yeah.
it is easy to make, but I do have some that I've made myself, like especially if you buy the swatch sheets from like Danielle Smith or whatever company you want, you can try to recreate the colors you want by just looking at the pigments they use, uh, other stuff like that. Or just by combining colors you already have. So
Mhm.
that's what I try to do, and so I don't have to buy every color.
Yeah. Well, as a person who paints in acrylics, I tend to have just basic colors. Ex- I like the fluid acrylics, and I like using these fluid acrylics with watercolors,
Mhm.
especially the fluorescent type, because I'm super attracted to bright colors. And Alexis Milner, welcome. And Alexis will be on my show tomorrow afternoon. We'll be talking about caregiving again, and and
Hi, Alexis.
yeah, and welcome, Mama Sushi. I noticed that you were on late last night.
Hi, Mama Sushi.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
All right. I'm coming in here
All
to.
right. So I'm gonna make this guy a little darker. I want to make it a little pinker, and I want it a little more vibrant.
Mhm.
So I let it dry, and I'm gonna go back over it with some colors. I really love Rose of Ultramarine. It's ultramarine um blue mixed with quinacridone red, and I don't know, I just really love this color. It makes really pretty. I know it just looks like purple, but it makes in person it makes really nice mixes. I
Yeah.
just kind of
Well, Mama Sushi, I saw some posts that you released, and they had a time and a time stamp on them to being like right around the time that I was sort of winding down a little bit. Anyways, hmm. All right, I'm just gonna leave that like that. Need to get the reference photo out again. Let's see if we got a go over here to the color one. Mm-hmm. Take a look at that.
think I'm gonna leave this little white right here, that cloud, and then I'm trying to. All right, I'm gonna be right back. I just gotta grab a paper towel.
All right.
All right, and then I'm
Well,
just gonna dab in a few areas to give the illusion of clouds.
I feel like I just ruined something here.
What? How did you didn't ruin it?
Well, I think I'll do that whole paper towel method to
Yeah, this is.
dab out that color, and that way it's there. The illusion of it is there,
Mhm.
and hmm. Now what I am starting to get better at is in this is the multitasking of having a guest on, painting and tracking the chat. But when I first started doing that, I couldn't do that. So I'm
Yeah,
working.
that's. I don't know how you do that. That's incredible.
The hardest part about that, Christine, is the fact that the my phone is literally at eye level, so I have to kind of look up a little bit to look at
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And then because my eyes aren't any good anymore, because I'm like an old man, and uh,
you know, you
well,
know, no man.
well, I'm older than I was. I don't have to I have to wear glasses, and everything's kind of blurry, really super close. And all right,
All right.
this is where might have a
This is
tendency to want
not
to cheat.
working for me. This cloud here. I don't like this. So I'm gonna make this blue. I don't like that cloud like that. All right, that's better.
See, this is the point in time is when I am feeling like I want to cheat, and
How do you want to cheat with acrylics?
yeah,
That's
because
okay. It's called mixed media. You
it's
can.
it's mixed media and going. See, I'm cheating it by because I can't get a fine enough line. I'm doing my outline. I'm going to use this my water brush. I'll just get another water brush after this. And this here this is a bone black that I mixed down with a fluid or acrylic. It is essentially a it's a paint thinner is what it is, an acrylic paint thinner,
Uh-huh.
and
Hmm.
so I I bought a bunch of colors in my fluid or acrylics, and for years, all I kept on hand with these at all times was these fluorescents, the fluorescent orange, pink, and
Mhm.
blue. Then I was looking around for something else, and I found that I had bought some burnt sienna that way, and so that means that I had another color that I completely forgot I had. And then recently I picked up some some more primaries, some titanium white, a primary cyan, and a primary magenta. And
Mhm.
and so I just kind of use these like watercolors.
Yeah, they. That's what I see. I got heavy body acrylics, and that's
So
why I think I haven't gotten into acrylics because I'm more used to the fluid like flowing of watercolors. So it's a very
well,
big jump.
so I when I the in the last year or so I've been painting primarily in transparents and semi-transparents. And
Mhm.
then from here you can make them even more transparent by adding both those mediums, either like a glazing fluid.
Right.
This is a little bit thicker. This is a glossy glazing fluid, or
Yep.
you go and you add this high flow medium, so it's a lot thinner. This stuff also helps
Okay.
to extend the drying time so that your this is also how you get your acrylic paints to mimic oil paints.
Oh, nice.
It's using
Because
those enzymes.
I love the way oil painting looks, but it just takes too long
Yeah, yeah.
to
So,
dry.
well, yeah, I've never, and actually, I
And
don't think
sorry.
so. I just don't think that I've invested a lot of money in painting, and I don't know when you start going into oil painting, you're looking at even, with I can see with watercolors, you could be in for like thousands of dollars,
Oh yeah, easy.
and I'm in for probably I probably have spent a couple $1,000s in just acrylic paints and everything through the years and stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm just doing this to get a little bit of an outline so that it doesn't look like it's a bunch of mush. And I'll let the thing turn off because now we are clearly in imagination land, and which is actually the better place to be painting from
Yeah,
imagination.
imagination land.
Yeah, well,
Sounds like a fun place to travel to.
there was a whole South Park episode or two or three on Imagination Land.
I I love South Park.
Yeah, so that's yeah, and I haven't watched it for years, but dad
Yeah, I haven't either.
after my dad had passed, I it was South Park
Oh,
that
I'm sorry.
really got me through the first couple of years because it was when you lose someone, it's really hard. It's really hard,
Oh yeah,
and
I'm so
and
sorry.
well, that's just the way it is. Everybody loses someone eventually,
Hmm.
and you develop coping strategies and everything. And so for that, it was I watched a lot of South Park, and then I ended up going to work for a company that my father worked at in his last years, and then there's all these people around there that remembered my dad. They were and
That must have been nice to meet all these people that knew your dad and
yeah, yeah. But you see, the thing is, it wasn't just my dad because that was like it's in a tribal casino, and it's the nearest. And my father had was self-employed from like 1974 to like 1996, and
Mhm.
self-employed. He had a lumber mill, and so like this area where I'm living in, this is my childhood. This is where I grew up,
Oh,
and
is it?
I lived in Seattle for a lot of years, and then I came back in 2011, and so yeah, uh, my dad died in 2012. Actually, he died on the fourth Sunday of June in 2012, which is the 1 week after Father's Day.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
My condolences.
well, I really don't need that. I'm just saying, I wasn't fishing for that.
No,
Um,
I know. I'm sorry. I it's hard to hear when somebody I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to
well,
say.
yeah, that's fine. It's hard to know how to have. I'm just like talking. I'm just talking. I'm not really. Um,
Yeah.
I'm liking this.
Sorry. I was just doing some droplets on my grass to look like little flowers. I don't know.
Oh,
I was just kind of in the mood to put
oh,
some
you're like Peter
splatter in.
M. Now doing splatter stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going just doing this. Now I want to go back into what do I do? What am I doing? I need to fix this over here. But anyway, so for the last like, and so he worked at that casino from 1997 to 2006, and then when
Mhm.
he was like 6 or something like that. Um, but you know, you'd be
What
walking
did he
like,
do at the casino?
oh, he started as a dishwasher,
Oh,
and
really?
but so that experience was like that was really frustrating for him because he just took whatever job he could do. So he went from being a like he was kind of a mechanical genius and going from being
Mhm.
doing that kind of stuff to washing dishes, and then because he was like what he was like 50 something when he was starting that, and he kept asking, well, can you move me up into a prep cook position? And they said, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Well, they were kept on thinking that, well, he's like almost 60 years old, that, well, why? But then they didn't do that. They just kept on moving up these other people, younger people, and then
Yeah.
the younger person would quit, and then like,
Mhm.
so he was in that dish pit job, and so this dish, I've seen this thing. This was for the casino buffet, and I've because when I worked at the casino, I worked all front of house jobs. I started as a cashier at the in the buffet, and then I moved. But then I wanted more money, so then I moved into alcohol service
Yep.
because I'd go into like the bank where I go pick up my bank every day, and you pick you pick your bank up, and they give you money, and then you return it at the end of the day, and then they have their whole accounting crew the next day that goes and counts everything to make sure that you didn't make any mistakes or whatever, and
Right.
and so that's but so I would be in there, but occasionally I'd be in there and I'd see the bartenders in there, and they would be
Mhm.
coming in with these giant wads of cash, these giant wads
Yeah.
of cash. And I was like, oh man, I got to do that. How do I, how do I get into that job? How do I get into that? Because I would like to have a big giant wad of cash too,
Right.
and then my boss, um, who knew me when I was a child,
Mhm.
didn't want to promote me out of my job because I was really good at it as a cashier, and it was
Oh
accurate.
wow.
And so essentially, what I had to do is I had to actually quit the casino, and then I came back in a
Wow.
and I came back in a different job altogether. Then I came back in, and it took me a while to get it, but I came back in as a floor server, and it was on a graveyard shift. Graveyard shift
Mhm.
is a server, a cocktail server. But it was kind of hard for me because I have vertigo, and I
Yeah.
had vertigo, and so like I'd be walking along, and that floor would be tilting like this. I'd be walking, I felt like the floor is tilting like this, and I'd be walking from one side of the casino to the other with a tray, carrying like food
Wow.
and carrying coffee and all kinds of shit like that. And then after about a year of that, I got into a bar back position, and then from
Mhm.
there, they didn't want to promote me into a bartending position because they said I couldn't multitask, which actually was true. Uh,
Mhm.
totally true. But I kept working really hard at it, and working hard and working hard. And then one of my buddies there, he got fired. Actually, it's in the bartending department. It was extremely easy to get fired. Uh,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then I was still in a bar back position, and then they were short staffed, and so then in I became like the lead bar back, and then in the lead bar back position for 6 months, all I did was I only did bar backing like 1 or 2 days a week, but the rest of the time I was just filling in as a bartender,
Mhm.
and so that was how that was. But they when I kept on applying for the bartending, applying the they I would have these confrontations with bosses and say, well, okay, well, you need to, before we'll even consider you for this position, you need to prove to us that you can do this other stuff. And so I did.
Mhm.
That other stuff was waiting tables. And that was
Yeah.
waiting tables in the sports bar, in which I did.
I've
And
done my fair share of that.
yeah, yeah, and
Yep.
so yeah, and that's how that went. And then um and so at my 50th birthday, a month before my 50th birthday, they hired me into a bartending position.
Nice.
And then but during that time that I was hired into there, I spent my 50th birthday. I spent 9 nights by myself in Waikiki
Mhm.
without having that working doing the
That's cool. That's a good experience you got to have. I like that. I like that you got to go there. That's
yeah.
nice.
Well, over here I have some clouds that are blending into the sky, so I don't think I'm going to be able to fix that. But um,
I'm pretty much done with mine.
you're done with yours. Oh,
Yeah, for now, I think.
okay. All right. Well, I was talking too much, and I got
Oh no
quiet.
no no. What do you still need to do on yours?
Oh, the water. I just done the
Oh, you haven't done. I can't see the mount is covering the
yeah,
half of the painting. Sorry.
yeah. So all right, that's what it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep, I can see it now.
yeah.
I love the
Well,
clouds that you did. I think your clouds are amazing.
well, yours are more realistic. They look more like cotton candy. Like you want to go out there and But I can do some water
Yours
really.
have emotion, though. Yours
Mine
have
have
emotion.
emotion, except for these
Mhm.
hard lines on here. That's the thing I don't like about uh about the
I
watercolor.
like it. I love that. I like those hard lines around it. I think it gives it character.
Hmm.
It makes it like you made it that way. I don't know. It makes it look like you made it that way.
Well, that's just how that's how just the watercolor works. It makes it look
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Well, we'll just kind of briefly put this ground in, and I'm gonna just use this green mixed with some yellow ochre. I'm pulling this directly right off the pan, and then trying to suck up the green that I put in there that I didn't want to put in there because I was talking too much. And
You weren't talking too much. You were amazing. Thank you. This is my first live stream. I have never ever painted live. I have never painted while talking to someone. So this has all been a first for me. So you've been amazing with helping me and making me feel very relaxed. So I really appreciate it. It was a
well,
lot of fun.
if you were to move to doing live stream painting, now I would tell you this is what you will encounter is that you will one of the things you'll have to do, or I don't, you won't have to do this, but you probably will. Why I do paint fast is because, in one many sense, competing with Bob Ross. You're,
Exactly.
you're, competing,
Mhm.
you're competing with Bob Ross videos, and Bob
Mhm.
Ross, he's not. They're not time lapsing anything, and and he's painting incredibly fast when he's painting those videos, and
I know.
they're not
I
speed.
don't know how he did it.
Well, I tell you how he did it, and uh, he that painting that you saw on the TV was his third painting because he painted every one of those
Mhm.
3 times.
Yes. Oh yeah. I think I heard that.
Yeah,
Wow, that's really cool.
yeah. I'm
And
gonna
I
get
heard he painted it was the same place and he just painted well most of it was of the same place but just different viewpoints of the same place. So he really knew his subject too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna put some colors in the water here, just briefly. One of the things I do like about the watercolor is that you can let those paints just dry in those little things here, and then you can come back
Mhm.
next time and then you just reactivate it.
Exactly. There's no waste. Yeah.
Yeah, it's minimal waste, and so that's the one thing about with our acrylics, you get a massive amount of waste because the paint
Yeah.
dries so fast. But that's kind of why I went to these kind of boxes. And I have 2 of them. I have one of them for my student grade paints, which actually I'm not even using, and it has a
Mhm.
sealer thing on it. And so I put some of these paints are dried up, but these ones they put in here like 2 months ago, and I'm still using them.
Those are your watercolors or your acrylics?
No, no, these are acrylics. They're golden
Oh, those are
acrylics.
your acrylics and they're
Yeah,
still good?
yeah, they're still good because I have this box,
Nice.
and then it has a ceiling thing on it, and then it's this is like what, $10 or $15. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't have any affiliate links, but I have a couple of these, and one of them has the other paints in it, but the other one is kind of soaking out now, and I want to make sure that we're almost done here.
Yeah, take your time. This is my this is the Mungio set came in. This is the company. I just wanted to show it. I'm not affiliated. It was my first brand that I really like really I don't know, I thought was really good. And
Mhm.
then the Danielle Smith paints are very expensive, so I understand if you can't afford them. They're like, you don't need to buy expensive stuff. Just use whatever you have. But I was just saying that I like these ones, and but anyways, I still use some of the Mungio ones, and then I made a lot of big pans of paints, and then I poured them myself of the watercolor paints, the Danielle Smith ones. These are
Hmm.
oh. So
Let's see.
I let them dry, and then I use them like a pan paint.
Yeah.
And then if I want to use them wet, then I take a palette out and then I use them wet.
All right. Well, we've been on about an hour, I think. Well, wait, no, maybe it's frozen. Actually, yeah, about an
Yeah,
hour.
it's an hour and 1 minute, it says.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, about that.
So, what are we doing here? Because it makes it look like something. Water has still, for me, is still the hard.
Mm. I know. I live on the water, so I really try to study it, and I noticed that it absorbs a lot of the colors that are around it. It's never really the color of like it's always like either mirroring the trees or it's I don't know.
Well,
A lot
I
of the
kind of,
times.
feel when I'm looking at this is that I didn't paint the trees in it, and these are like faraway hills, and I feel like
Yeah.
with the ocean and with faraway hills, you don't see the reflections. You don't see those reflections in there, and
Mhm.
you really only see the reflections of the land if you're
Yeah.
on a lake. Now over here, I do see some
Yeah.
reflections in here, but that means that that sun is way, way behind there,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
and then and so it's casting a shadow of that far away thing. So what I have here is I do have a little bit of a shadow where I have a little bit of a darker and a lighter kinds of things going on, and so that's kind of what I have come up with.
Yeah,
And
yours is a lot more accurate to the photo.
oh, I don't know about that, but with it's not necessarily about. It's about, we're having a good time
Yeah,
and
I had a
painting.
great time.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely want to have you back on, and if we do this again, the second time you do it, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'll have a reference. The thing is, I didn't have the reference photo out, so that would help too. Or I can just paint and just, go with the flow. But
You
it
can
was a
do that.
lot of fun, and I really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know you better. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
All right. Well, I wanted to thank everybody for joining in today, and
Yeah,
for
thank you,
all the
everybody.
for all the likes, and for everybody who pushed the sub button on Christine's account, and she's going to be producing more content, or she produces content. And what I was going to say is, if you were to start streaming for yourself, Christine, you
Hmm.
have a lot of you do all your setup up front before you push any buttons.
Right.
And so whereas, like, when you are doing a when you're doing a recorded video, then you of course you have a lot of setup there, but with the streaming, you're doing everything on the front side of it, and then after you push the button to go live, then your setup, then it's just you're doing it,
Yep.
and you're doing it, and you're right out there, and you're doing it, and so then the things that, for me, the things that I look at is I look up at all of those um, I look at those statistics that 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 this YouTube generates, the average view duration time, and those kind of things. But when it's like right now, I think that this is going to come in where it's going to be like somewhere around 90 views or something like that, and probably the average view duration, outside of the fact that we've had a core group of people that have been here the whole time, it will
Yeah,
probably
thank
be,
you, Mama Sushi and Fatima.
yeah,
Blessings to you
yeah,
too.
and so then, it averages things out, and then anyways, it's that those are the things that can guide you to push your content forward. And especially if you choose this format, which you're it's so, like, let's say we take Alexis Milner. She
Hmm.
started live streaming every day about a month or two ago, and her sub count has shot up from 100 subs up to 1,000 subs.
Wow.
But she's also on like 4 hours a day,
Yeah.
and so, but it's and now is the time. The summer months is the time to, if you want to expand your channel and you want to expand your watch time, the time to do it is right now during the summertime. And
Okay.
when you have the maximum number of people who aren't uh, working and who aren't in school, because a lot of the people
Yeah.
who will be driving your watch time and all that stuff forward are all the people who are under a certain age, because the highest demographic of watchers of YouTube is from like 16 to like 25.
Oh,
That's
yeah. I would imagine. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and though, even though you may not think that you want to have a show that's geared towards that demographic, that is the demographic that's watching your stuff.
Well, I think gearing it towards everybody is great. You know, everybody can learn to paint or learn something, even if it's just learning to do something different or, wanting to try something new, it's
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's better to watch this kind of stuff than other kind of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause-
yeah. I get you. And so for me, the learning curve was when I first started this channel. Even when I first started like live streaming, I did not have children in mind watching my content,
mhm.
and then it was like slowly working the language, and so having my that South Park Kenny or whatever, or Cartman guy in my head, or those that language, I had to,
Mhm.
it went out. I drove it out because
Yeah.
you know and but then you're
Yeah.
already there, so you gear it towards everyone, and then
Yes.
you don't worry, you just have other
And you don't
things.
have to worry.
You don't have to worry. Exactly. All right.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys very much for looking in, Mama Sushi,
Thank you
and
so much, everybody.
Todd,
And
my
thank
friend.
you.
And thank you, Alexis, and I'll see you tomorrow, Lexi, for my after church chat show, which is literally it's just I call it that because it's after the church hour. Um,
Yes.
for me, literally, that's the time of the day it is,
Right.
um, and thank you,
Well, thank you
everybody
so
else.
much for having me on. I really appreciate it so much.
And thank you, Elizabeth, for just dropping in for a moment. I was trying to drop into your live today, but it was right as I was waking up. I saw that you went, and I was like waking up, and then I'll go make a cup of coffee and do some things, and then I'll turn your live on, Elizabeth, and then once I did, it was all over with. And so
Oh,
I guess
I'll have to come sub to you, Elizabeth.
more time went by, and so yeah. All right. Well,
All right.
we'll see you guys the next time, and thank you very much, Christine,
Thank
for
you.
coming on my show, and have a blessed rest of your weekend. And today is the longest day of the year, but here it's just rainy and about 60 degrees and dark. So I'm not going to be seeing any long day activity at all. And White Cliff, welcome. You haven't been in for a while. And yeah, thank you, White Cliff, for just popping in for a moment. And nevertheless, we'll see you all later. And
Have a great night.
yeah,
Blessed by everyone.
all right. Bye bye.
Bye.